You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is October 15th, 2020. It is also the feast day of St. Teresa of Avila. St. Teresa of Avila is a very important Spanish Carmelite saint. St. Teresa had an interesting life that I probably bet you could relate to. As a little girl, she loved Jesus, but she also loved all sorts of fancy things and having attention and the good life. So eventually she did answer a call to the Carmelite order, but at the time, the Carmelites weren't really living out their call very well. They lived a little bit like princesses in there, which is not how the order was founded. After lots of prayer and help from her special saint in heaven, who was Saint Joseph, the foster father of Jesus, she felt a calling to reform the Carmelite order, and that is exactly what she did. She lived the rest of her life calling her sisters to a deeper, more perfect union with God, more prayer, more sacrifice, and she left a lasting impact on the Carmelite order to this day. She also has beautiful writings about what it means to truly believe in God and connect with Him. So this week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we are talking about the little village of Nazareth where Jesus grew up. We've talked about what his home looked like, those pilgrimages to Jerusalem. We talked about Saint Joseph, who was likely his most important teacher. And today we are going to continue to talk about Saint Joseph and the most important thing that he gave to Jesus, which was their faith. We know from the gospel that Joseph was a devout Jew. He went to Jerusalem for the pilgrimages. He offered sacrifice in the temple as was asked of him. Now, here are some other things that historians tell us that Jewish fathers most certainly would have done at the time when Jesus was born. So first of all, there is one prayer that we need to know to really get to the heart of what it was and what it still is to be a Jewish person. The most important prayer for Jews comes from the book of Deuteronomy. And of course, this book is in our Bible too, but it's also part of the Torah, the Jewish Bible. It was written by Moses. And these two verses that come from Deuteronomy chapter 6 are prayers that Jews recite many times a day. And here it is. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. That's it. It's beautiful, right? And maybe you've heard those words before, but these words formed the cornerstone of a Jew's life. They would say them first thing when they woke up in the morning. They would say them many times throughout the day, and they would be the last words they say before they fall asleep. It was also a beautiful custom for a Jewish father to whisper these words into the ear of his infant when the infant was first born. They really took very seriously that these would be the first words a child would hear. Now, reflect on that. How beautiful. On that night in Bethlehem, surrounded by animals and in a barn, when the baby first came out, Joseph wrapped that baby in swaddling clothing and whispered these words into Jesus' ear. Words that not only spoke about God's faithfulness to the Jewish people, but they were the fulfillment of them. He spoke to Jesus about God himself. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, what's also was a beautiful Jewish tradition at the time is that these words would be the last words that a Jew would say before he died. So he would be there very ill on his deathbed, his family around him, and they would help him say these words. These words were radical because remember, at the time when Jesus lived, very few people believed that there was only one God. The Romans, everyone else, they all believed that they were many gods, pagan gods. So the idea that they are saying the Lord is one, this is setting them apart as God's faithful and chosen people. Now, like we said, Jesus was taught by St. Joseph, and we know that one of the things that St. Joseph taught him was to read. There's a part in the gospel where Jesus stands up after he has been baptized. He's in the synagogue with other men, and he goes up, takes the scroll, and reads from the Torah. Just seeing that he can read, we know Jesus was educated. He could read. He would have learned that from St. Joseph. And again, the Torah, this book of Deuteronomy, and the other books written by Moses included in the Jewish Bible would have been what Jesus was taught with, what he studied, and what he heard his father recite. And so, Sprouts, my challenge for you today is to just listen one more time to these beautiful words that were likely the first words that the infant Jesus heard, the words that he heard his father, St. Joseph, pray just before he died. So here we go. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be. Just one more thing. I wanted to let you know that we are running a special promotion on all of our patterns of the Catholic saints. We have many, many patterns of many saints that can be used for either cross-stitch project or my favorite, perler bead projects. So if you're interested in checking this out before the promotion ends, I encourage you to check out the link in the show notes.